Welcome to Dicejunkies. We're doing our Mandalorian review. We've got crap. Before we do this, what's the chapters? What is it, 11, 12, and 13?
It's chapters 12, 13, and 14.
12, 13, and 14. Okay. Welcome to Dicejunkies. Once again, we're doing the Mandalorian review. We're doing this, this is our second 3-episode chunk with chapters 12, 13, and 14, part of season 2. And let's get everybody introduced. I'm Xenodamus. We're here with
Q.
And with us on Skype,
Blood X,
which is our big Star Wars guru as far as knowledge goes. He's probably the most knowledgeable of us all. So let's go ahead and get this started. I guess with the first episode, we're going to talk about chapter 12, which is the 4th episode of season 2. What do you got for us, Blood Axe?
Yeah, so this one is the Siege, and after we kind of discussed the first 3 episodes, this one kind of really felt like probably the first Mandalorian-ish version out of the entire second season. So this one, actually, interestingly enough, was directed by Carl Weathers, which was probably, I think, why I enjoyed it so much is because it's like putting the band back together. So we got to see Cara Dune, we got to see Grief Karga, we got to see the Mandalorian, and we also got to see Horatio Sands return from. He was actually the bounty that we saw in the very first chapter, is when the Mandalorian walked in the bar. But anyway, so with the Siege, Mandalorian, because where we left him last time, needed basically to repair his ship because it was absolutely in pieces. It had fishnet holding the wings on, so it was in rough shape. So he decided to return back to Navarro, and when you know it, he gets wrapped up in another adventure with his old buddy Grief Karga. And we also see Cara Dune kind of taking a little bit of a character change from the lone wolf in hiding to where now she's in a place of law enforcement.
The Marshal.
Thank you. I couldn't remember what her title was. I remember she actually taken over a title and we learn later on that with this also comes the fact that she can't do certain things. But anyway,
Well, that's after she chose to become official, but that's an episode later.
Right.
Or two.
Yeah,
Actually, 2 episodes later.
That when we get into the tragedy. So this episode, the premise is basically that there is an imperial base that they believe only has a couple of guards, and Grief Karga wants to, quote unquote, keep the planet of Navarro clean. So they want to go weed it out, take it, destroy the complex so that no black market runners actually come and try to acquire imperial tech and try to sell it on the streets of Navarro. So with this one, I mean, it's almost kind of like going back to A New Hope, right down to the catwalk platform. So they're trying to skirt in order to shut down the power grid. But there is a little bit of a dark twist in this one, and as they're going through the computer process, they actually find a hollow message from Dr. Pershing, which, if those of you don't remember from the first season, he's the actual doctor that was taking the blood from the donor, as they call Baby Yoda, and as they call him the donor. And they've obviously been trying to test subjects as to see how well they take his blood, trying to make what we believe to be Force sensitives, at least for right now. And they didn't use it, but they did drop an M word or M count, referring back to the old midichlorians that drove everybody crazy back during the prequel era. Mm-hmm. The prequel era. But we had some really good shootouts. I love the whole scene with the speeder bikes coming off the ledge, and then ultimately the TIE fighters. Although there was a head scratching moment as far as how fast the Razor Crest was repaired during the little journey into the desert for a couple hours and back. When we left it, it was in shambles, and we came back, it was pristine and sparkling again. That was my biggest hiccup episode, was again either the lack of time lapse justification or the fact that it was magically repaired by these two jackasses that were working for Grief Cargo. So
well, only one of them that we know of that was working for. They only had one that.
Well, no,
right?
Grief Cargo's the black guy.
Oh,
Till the end of the episode, the assumption is they are working for him.
Yeah. My bad,
and we apologize. We didn't mean to pull a full recap there, but basically, the episode had a lot of good action. It was great seeing Cara Dune, Grief Cargo. There's Gif Mordian does reappear. We'll throw that out there.
Don't forget Yoda.
Apparently, if you've looked at any other videos, the Yoda macaroons, by the way, $40. You can order them online. They have the official Mandalorian stamp.
You gotta get
looked
your
it up.
macaroons
It's like
today,
Neva, Nora, something's the name of the company, but they're 40 friggin' bucks.
Macaroons are not cheap to begin with.
True, but if you want the ones with the actual stamp, you have to get them through that company. They have the Mandalorian stamp in the corner. It's hilarious. But hey, at least it's not eating like, eggs and supposedly extinction and speed. The mothers at home shouldn't be flipping out over the macaroons. They should be all right. But a great episode. The highlights to me were that the Mandalorian is in rare form. They have an awesome Cara Dune part at the beginning, but it doesn't take away from the Mandalorian, which will get into a discussion me and Blood Axe will be having later, where it's a great scene. It reestablishes her badassery while not taking away from the Mandalorian. Remember that. That's going to come back up as a major overall sticking point with me. He goes up, man. He's killing. He's kicking butt. They do bring back the little comedic guy for the first episode. The blue alien that he carbonites is in here. I believe the actor that plays that character is a comedian, and he's comedic relief. My favorite part, though, is that literally I looked at I looked at Zeno, and I said, man, they still don't have guardrails. And then shortly after that, he goes, there's no guardrails. And I was like, okay, they remember the little things for Star Wars, and I love that. There's a lot of this felt Star Wars.
Out of the 3 episodes that we're reviewing here, honestly, this is my favorite. I liked it the most.
My favorite's still going to be the third one that we review. But yeah, this was good.
This one was my favorite out of the 3, though.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I like Baby Yoda, it was a Baby Yoda light episode
after the macaroons.
Well, yeah, they had the macaroons and then the Yoda vomit scene where you saw
that was cute.
The fatherly Mandalorian wipe his mouth with his cloak. Those were like the 2 biggest memed things on the internet when that episode came out. But I liked the action in it. It was nice action. You actually saw a lot of use coming from all of the Mandalorian's equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see how, his companions actually go along with him, work together. Nobody was one up in anybody. It was this really nice group scene.
This ain't the same idiot that got knocked in the water.
Yeah, where you saw party action properly without a failure point. All 3 of them did really good, and you understand from this episode, you're like, okay, I see how he, became the big bounty distributor. He's a tough guy. Oh, I see how she, made herself the sheriff or whatever you want to call it in this town. She's knocking it with the best of them. She's tough. Oh, well, we know why the Mandalorian has managed to, get a full suit of Beskar armor, and how, his name as a bounty hunter has gone out there because he shows how competent he is.
Mm-hmm. And you get world building. They kind of build up the concept of what the Outer Rim is really like and how the Empire interacts with it. You get an Imperial troop scene, the Imperial representative, and you get a feeling that this is the Wild West, man. This is outside of the government's reach.
Even the sleazy guy who makes jokes, you saw how competent he was on bargaining. He got a lot of years off of his sentence.
I think he got a grand total of 130 years off his sentence. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. I was like,
You know,
what's that, my speeder? I do love that scene. Like,
so I mean, everybody played a part. You know, you sort of had a classic D&D type group.
he was actually
you know,
kind of
with your
funny
rogue
this time.
and
You know, he wasn't funny in the first episode, but he was actually funny because when he's like trying to get this shot and he's just like his head's popping up, I actually laughed. I was like, okay, that was actually funny.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good episode, and that's why it ranked on top for me.
There's no part I didn't like. No part at all.
So, all right. Blood Axe, do you have any comments on it? I know you did the run through, but opinions.
Well, like I said, this was the first episode of this season that really felt like we were getting back to the roots of season 1. The first 3 almost felt like filler episodes, even though he's still on the journey to find the Jedi or find the baby Yoda species. So I enjoyed it. It was fast-paced action. It had some comedic relief, and it had TIE fighters and stormtroopers on speeder bikes. So I mean, yeah, you couldn't go wrong with that. But going back to what Q was saying about picking up the little things, that's one thing that Jon Favreau has done a lot of through season 1 and season 2 is going back to the old material and seeing where they can bring in little pieces and parts, where they can bring in those references that casual fans won't necessarily get, but the hardcore fans would really appreciate. So this is one of the ones that I've enjoyed the most so far. Although I think I'm going to side with Q on my favorite of the first 6 episodes. Though.
All right, well, go ahead and lead us into the next episode, chapter 13.
So this is the one that everyone was really kind of chomping at the bit for. This one is called The Jedi, and this is where we actually get to see Ahsoka Tano for the first time. And if you're a follower of the show, you'll probably remember I was kind of critical when they cast Rosario Dawson for this role. I really thought it should have gone to Ashley Eckstein, and after watching the episode, still agree it probably should have gone to Ashley Eckstein. And I'm not even going to go into why, because I know when I get done talking to you, it's going to pretty much make my point for me. But we did get to see some really, really cool Jedi or Force wielder moves and lightsaber fighting in this episode. Some of her guerrilla hit and run tactics that she was using in this episode was really kind of well thought out and well played. Basically, what all boils down to is Ahsoka is almost sieging the city. Because the party and the person who's actually in control is basically having forced labor with the citizens. But lo and behold, we find out that there's more to it than just that. There's also, if you're looking for information on Grand Admiral Thrawn, and those of you who don't know who that is, he's from he was in Clone Wars a pretty good bit, but he was also in some of the old Legends novels and stuff. But seeing him pop up in a live action in a Ahsoka Tano series actually would be interesting. But anyway, so getting back to the actual episode, what it all boils down to is Mandalorian shows up looking for Ahsoka. He finds the town, and when Ahsoka basically gives the I can't remember the character's name, but she's played by Diane Lee. Basically, gives her 24 hours to either leave or she'll come back and finish off the rest of her troops and herself. But they go, oh, you have Beskar. Oh, you're Mandalorian. Here, let's go and hire you to go ahead and take out this villain of ours. And so they send him to go fight and take out Ahsoka. At which point it's kind of clever, because I thought I picked up on this, and I'm sure you guys did too, but my wife didn't, is he never actually agreed to take the job. He just said, where is she?
Of course, because he doesn't lie. You know, he's got to.
Oh, exactly. And this is where we run into 2 issues I have with it. Number 1 is the performance of Ahsoka. But number 2 is we also find out the name of Yoda for the very first time, which is Grogu, which I think might be a throwback to George Lucas, possibly the way they're putting the words together. I don't know. I mean, that was the closest thing I could find as far as why this name actually even sounds cool, because it really doesn't. But whatever, he's Grogu and he responds to Grogu throughout the episode. But lo and behold, they ended up joining forces to take on the city, and in a very Kill Bill-ish scene, Ahsoka basically takes out the
actually Lone Wolf and Cub, if you want to get a stronger sense of the reference. But also, yes, very Kill Bill too.
Yeah, very Kill Bill
also.
Anyway, so in the end, we find out that Ahsoka, who said she'd train him if she helped him, actually lied. She's not going to take on Grogu. But she sends him off on a whole nother adventure to a planet that Corvus, which, if he sits on the stone and, twirl him around 3 times and you say the magic words, you'll find a Jedi. Anyway.
Don't remember that last part.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm really kind of curious, though, is he did acquire a Beskar spear from
the Magistrate
episode.
Like, I think she's called the Magistrate.
I don't know any Beskar spears of lore, so there may be hopefully more story behind this as far as from the Mandalorian perspective, because we all know the Beskar is from Mandalore, but I don't know of anything of this spear. So hopefully this will be something of legend, like we see with the Darksaber that we saw at the end of season 1. But in the end, it delivered what I hoped it would deliver, which was hopefully a one-shot with Ahsoka. I didn't want her to be a permanent cast member or permanent character in Mandalorian, because it's the Mandalorian for a reason. It's not the Mandalorian and Ahsoka show. And that was one of my biggest concerns, was introducing some of these legacy fan favorite characters is going to take the show away from what I enjoy as a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm. Well, like Bladdock said, he knew I was going to come in here.
Yeah, well, before you go too deep into it, I'm just going to give my piece, because yours is going to be long and drawn out, I feel.
No, I can't. Like Bladdock's is already long and drawn out. Now I have to shorten mine.
I am going to say this was my least favorite of the 3 episodes. I didn't think it really gave us a lot as far as an episode goes. I mean, they gave us a name for Baby Yoda, which was sort of
Grogu.
as far as the job is with the non-Jedi girl, didn't really end up caring much for. I'm not, I haven't watched the Clone Wars and all that, so it didn't bring much to me there. I mean, the Beskar spear seems cool, but I mean, it's just a spear made out of Beskar. I mean, how hard would it be to make more of them if you had enough Beskar? So
that's just it. There's not a lot of it around.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I'm just saying, it's not like to me. I don't really see how a legend could be born, because it's just a chunk of metal. But now it's cool metal.
What's the legend behind it? What's the history of it? What's the story behind the weapon? That's what I'm curious about.
And as I'm saying, it's cool metal. Maybe there's a story behind it, but I hope if there is, I'd want there to be more than it just being a chunk of Beskar turned into a spear. But anyway, not my favorite episode. The Yoda scenes here, I thought just seemed sort of drawn out.
His name is Grogu.
Yeah. The Baby Yoda scenes here, I felt like they were just sort of drawn out. And like I said, it didn't. I mean, it gave him a new quest. That's pretty much what this episode did. It gave him a new quest. Now he did get to show off. He was had some good action. He was badass in the episode, and I actually want to know more about this town now, because the town seemed interesting. And maybe there is more on it. Like I said, I'm not as big into the lore as Blood Axe, but I mean, it just, I don't know. It was a good episode, but it wasn't a lot for me.
This episode both actually has one of the biggest coin flips of one side good, one side bad I've seen. So I'm just going to do a quick pros and cons. Pros, this was almost movie-worthy lightsaber action. I mean, the scenes when she cuts the bell and just all of that, it was well done. I literally got compared to most of what I've seen, this was about on par with the prequels, man. This is some good lightsaber action. As far as the effects, like the effects when she was using them, the lightsabers felt like they were really there. The weight, the hit and run tactics were good. It was really well done for it to be a TV show. I actually said this is up there for good work. I mean, well done. Another pro that kind of the other two kind of were dancing around, but I felt like needed to be brought up is that Beskar functions like cortosis. Beskar blocks lightsabers. When the Mandalorian runs into Ahsoka, she attacks him, and he is able to block her lightsaber with his Beskar forearms, and he acquits himself well. That's what's rare that I like. He didn't get the usual, oh no, it's a female attacking the Mandalorian. He's about to get punched. Again, tying into my previous statement of both of these characters are badass, and nobody gets made to look like an idiot. Love that. It did not feel like anybody was taken away. But if Beskar can block a lightsaber, and the big penultimate battle proves that the spear does this, this was clearly a weapon designed to hunt Jedi. Because why else would they need a melee weapon made out of Beskar? Reason, especially because it's not like a normal spear where the handle's made out of something else. It's one solid piece. We see it used to fight lightsabers. So I believe it's a Jedi hunting weapon. And he gets it, which makes sense because we know that at least one person has a lightsaber, the dark saber. So he kind of needed something more than just his forearm. So I believe what we're going to eventually see is this spear is going to be used against the lightsaber again. It's obvious, very, very clearly. That's a pro.
The next episode really highlights that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they keep pushing up these pros. Now, the negatives are Rosario Dawson phones it in. She does not bring gravitas. To the degree that the one thing that Zeno didn't bring up that I found very enlightening is as a person who's not a fan of Ahsoka, Zeno even said, something feels off about this. This performance doesn't feel right. Now, if a person who doesn't know the character can look at it and go, I don't feel like she's doing this right, you know that me and Blood Axe were of the opinion that no, she's not. She's a great actress, but what was required for this role wasn't pulled out. She says a line that should have been very emotional. She kind of hints at Darth Vader's past when she talks about the best of us fell, and no emotion. No emotional weight at all to this scene. So, Rosario Dawson was badly cast. They should have went with the original voice actress because as Blood Axe tells me, she did it for 7 seasons. Easily could have played this role. Knows the character better than anyone else. All right. As far as other cons, the villain, Diana Lee, wonderful martial artist. I don't remember the name of the magistrate. Even Blood Axe doesn't remember the name of the magistrate. She is one of the most forgettable villains we've had. She's a one-episode villain who honestly could have been replaced with anybody. And literally, and just really, she didn't pop off the screen. Like, she's forgettable. Hell, you didn't even mention her. Like, Zeno didn't even mention her at all. That says a lot. Blood Axe barely mentioned her and even said, I don't remember, like, other than getting us a good Kill Bill fight scene and showing the use of the spear, she could have been a damn droid, and it would have been just as fine. In fact, it would have been cool if it had been a remnant of the Grievous droids. Remember Grievous's little assistant droids? They had the droids that were designed to fight Jedi. Heck, she even had some HK, what was it, 83s? Yeah. You know,
she had HK assassin droids, actually.
Yeah, not the same series as ours, but like still they were HKs. Heck, one of them could have replaced her, and it wouldn't have changed the story.
Speaking of, that's another scene I thought that was cool with the Mandalorian because he walked in and when he meets Sokka, whatever,
Ahsoka, Sono.
Yeah, you know he says this is everything that's in the town. Like he is observant, and they got to play that off as
competent.
Well, you know?
He knew how many what weapons they had, the droids. He had paid attention. Again, competency throughout these 3 episodes. So ultimately, I feel like this episode was, unfortunately, it would have been my favorite episode if it wasn't for Dawson's performance, because I enjoyed it. But the first episode had no flaws. This one has flaws, and the third episode has epics moments in it that I actually consider to be like going to be for across the whole season. There's a scene in there that's just epic, and they pulled it off. So this is unfortunately my least favorite of the three that we're reviewing. But I do believe the spear, like Blood Axe, is a big deal. Not so much the history of it, because I think I already figured it out. It's for hunting Jedi. But I believe it's definitely going to play a bigger role later on. It is going to come up against lightsabers again.
Yeah, Zeno, pull up Ashley Eckstein, Eckstein. And this is the voice actress that did Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars seasons 1 through 7, and also in Rebels.
Jeez, you just typed in Ashley and they gave you her. That's how you know. Now tell me she could have done it. Pop that picture up. She looks perfect to play that.
So she's done not only the voice acting for Ahsoka for the entire character's existence, she's also done live action acting as well. More importantly, I think Rosario Dawson is a little bit too large of a frame for what we know Ahsoka as opposed to Ashley Eckstein has a smaller frame and has probably the more appropriate body type. Plus, she's also young enough to be able to play Ahsoka for years to come when, Rosario Dawson's a little bit longer in the tooth, so to speak. So not only do you have someone who understands the character from birth to current state, you also have someone who would be able to play the character for years to come.
And with that heavy makeup, it all you need is for the person to be slim. Her getting the voice down perfectly, and the fact that the amount of makeup means it doesn't matter who's under the makeup as long as they have her frame. You know what I'm saying?
And Ahsoka is a smaller framed character. So I think that they really missed the mark on this one. Plus, I don't think it would have cost nearly as much as far as compensation goes for Ashley Eckstein to take on Ahsoka as opposed to paying someone more of a B-list type actor, but still a higher tier actor than Ashley Eckstein is.
And who is completely unfamiliar with the character and probably isn't even a Star Wars fan, if we're honest. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm making an assumption.
I know. But she's got some geek tendencies. Like, I've heard her talk about some things. I mean,
Star Wars, though?
I mean, she's been in enough stuff that I'd be surprised if she doesn't. I mean, she was in a Clerks, Clerks
2.
Clerks 2. She was in those Marvel Netflix movies.
All geeks don't like the same thing. Like your category.
But I'm saying she's played in enough geek-oriented things
that she might actually
that
have
she
an interest.
probably has an interest.
Well, I'm also basing this though on her actual performance because she phoned it in. I've seen her do better in Daredevil. She could emote better than this. Well, like it did not feel like she even cared to be there.
She played the same character that she did in The Rundown, and that's a snarky, smug, cocky, and that's not what Ahsoka is. Number two, if you're really a fan of geek culture and you know about Star Wars, Ashley Eckstein was pitching herself to play Ahsoka in this series, and Disney didn't pick her up. If someone asked me, hey, will you come play, Han Solo? I'm sorry, if Harrison Ford is still out there until he says, no, I don't want to do it, I'm not going to take on the part of a legacy character like that.
She could have declined the role. Yeah, you're right. She could have declined the role and said, why don't you let Ahsoka Tano play Ahsoka Tano?
Yeah.
Right. Now, I listen to a lot of Star Wars podcasts, and Ashley Eckstein came on Rebel Force Radio and said as much that she was disappointed.
Because she wanted
if she'd come on the show and said, you know what, they offered it to me, I declined, I'm happy for Rosario Dawson, I would have had less problems with her performance of it because she doesn't know the character. But the fact that the person that does know the character wanted the gig and didn't get it, I have a major issue with that.
I'd be curious to see if there's any behind the scenes type stuff for this, because you often hear like, oh, well, this person played this role because they were trying to fill out a contractual agreement where we had to cast this person so many times because of some prior agreements that we threw them in here. I'm curious if there's something like that, being that they seem so bound, just determined to have her play.
Dude,
this
I'm
role.
gonna say it. You see the picture. You saw the picture. Her face is in blue. It's a friggin' checkbox, man. That's all it was.
I don't know about that, but
well, I can say that because
made
I'm
her
a minority.
a villain for a one shot, the way they've done other people throughout season 1 and season 2. I really honestly think this is a backdoor pilot for Ahsoka Tano series on Disney Plus.
Maybe.
And that's my honest feeling on this.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and I guess move on to the final episode now. Bloodaxe, you go ahead and give us the rundown on this one.
So this one here is my favorite, but also the most heart-jerking one out of all of them. It's called The Tragedy, Chapter 14. This one just had a whirlwind going on. It had explosions, it had fighting, it had probably the thing I was most geeked up about when I saw Slave One following right behind the Razor Crest. I started bouncing on the couch. My wife's like, "What is that?" I'm like, look up there." And I wish I brought it down. I have a Lego Slave One this big sitting on my mantle. So huge Boba Fett fan. And when she looked up and she saw that and she looked at the screen, she goes, "Is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Boba Fett." And what's funny is the Mandalorian immediately goes, "Oh, hey, we got to go." So anyway, so backtracking a little bit. So he finally finds finds Tython, which is where Ahsoka told him to go place the Grogu on the Seeing Stone. Reach out with the Force and see if a Jedi hears you, in which case they'll show up and come come train him. So the fact that he's waiting for a ship, sees a ship, and goes, "Oh, junk, we're in trouble. We got to go," because he recognized Slave One as Boba Fett's ship. Again, my opinion, but the fact that he was waiting for someone showed up, and he was ready to haul tail, he recognized it for what it was. So
competency.
What? Do what, Q?
He was competent. He's always being competent in these episodes.
Well, he's being competent, but he's also very perceptive. The fact that you go, "Oh yeah, this is not a Jedi ship." So by the time he turns around, Grogu is actually reaching out with a Force. He has this weird, really cool blue Force field around him, as shooting up in the sky. And every time the Mandalorian tries to reach for Grogu, it actually knocks him back about 10 feet. Which, why Jedi don't have this power as a defensive mechanism, I have no idea, because it's probably one of the best powers ever.
There are runes on the stone, though, so it could be you would need that device to do it.
Or whatever, whatever Force is in the device. Yes, but we have a real good back and forth with Boba Fett, basically saying, "You have my armor," and he's like, "Are you a Mandalorian?" He goes, "It's my father's. It's mine." And before they come to blows, more ships show up, and these are clearly Imperial. Now, this is where we actually get to see how Boba Fett earned his reputation. Because when we have Boba Fett's hired hand, spoiler alert, it's Fennec Shand from who thought was dead in the first season, which clearly she wasn't. She was shooting from afar. Boba takes a gaffy stick and beats the snot out of all these imps. I mean, you see pieces of white shrapnel flying all over the screen as he's beating the crap out of them with fury. It's not I'm fighting these off. It is hatred that's just spilling through the screen for the Empire. And Q, and I may talk about this here in a little bit, but when it all comes down to it, we finally get to see what Moff Gideon's been working on. As they're fighting all the Imperials, Moff Gideon sends down 4 Dark Troopers. And if you don't know what a Dark Trooper is, you can look it up online. It's part of the old Legends series, but there's many books written about the Dark Troopers. And yes, the Dark Troopers are actually able to capture Grogu and take him off planet, at which point we also get the second saddest thing happen, and they blow to smithereens the Razor Crest.
It's gone.
It's not damaged.
Gone.
It's not just a shot through, no, not a wing. It is incinerated. I mean, it is a crater left. So
Except for
At
two
which point,
things
everyone
that
that
will
spent
leave.
$500 for that Razor Crest Lego kit. Good luck with that one, buddy. Anyway, so in the end, basically Boba Fett decides to join up with the Mandalorian because the agreement was, you give me my armor, I'll help you keep the kid safe. Well, in all the fighting, he didn't keep the kid safe, so he feels obligated by Creed. Now, one of the interesting things is once Boba Fett pulls up the forearm pad, we actually see the chain of ownership of the suit, and we find out that not only is his father a foundling, but it came from a chain of Mandalorians. So retconning that Jango Fett is not Mandalorian by birth, which is, being Zeno had a discussion about this a couple of years ago after Gulf Coast Fan Fest, and haha, I win. But he's Mandalorian by Creed.
He is a foundling.
So yeah, he's a foundling.
And he
His
was
father's a
given his
foundling,
armor by a real
and
Mandalorian.
therefore, by right, it is Boba Fett's armor. In which case, they're like, okay, well, have fun. And he goes, no, I didn't live at my end of the bargain. I didn't keep the child safe. Therefore, I will help you. At which case, Mandalorian was like, okay. So, and he looks over at Fennec Shand, and she's going to tag along for the ride. So I see this as a whole an Avengers Assemble type situation where they'll get Boba, they'll probably go back and get Cobb Vanth off Tatooine, they have Fennec Shand's, Grief Karga, and they'll probably get Cara Dune, and they're all going to go after Grogu, which we actually see at the end, the Mandalorian trying to pitch to Cara Dune to join him, but also help him break out someone from
Bill Burr's character.
Chapter 6, Mayfield, which we find out his name is Miggs Mayfield, which actually was one of my favorite characters from the Prisoner episode. For those of you that don't remember, Mayfield was the human with the gun pack and the different guns that came out with different arms so we can shoot around corners and stuff, which is really kind of sweet. Anyway, so in the end, this was my favorite episode because there was so much action. We've got a short episode, like 33-minute runtime, but we got definition of why Boba Fett had the reputation that he had. And they didn't have a lot of time to develop that. We also got to see the Dark Troopers in action, but we also got to see Grogu, when imprisoned on the Imperial ship, go completely dark side, choking stormtroopers, slamming them against the walls. I mean, going just driving into his emotions. So we'll get to theories after Zeno and Q give their spills, but I do think that this is kind of telling as far as what type of character Grogu will become into, probably in seasons 3 and 4.
There was a couple of things on this episode that made it lose the top notch for me. The one that bugged me was the Mandalorian leaving his jetpack and just running all over the place and never grabbing that thing. Obviously, they did this to try to stop him from chasing after they grabbed Baby Yoda, but it just felt bad to me. Another thing, I was surprised they blew up his ship, being that they had a tracker on it, knowing that he was going to probably come after him. He already has in the past to defend Baby Yoda. So, you sort of killed your ability to keep track of him. You would have been better off waiting for him to get into his ship, and then if you wanted to lock on, that would be a good time to do that.
Especially since there was more than one ship.
Yeah, because there was more than one ship.
They weren't really sure they were stranding him because Boba Fett's ship was right there.
Yeah.
So they only blew up the Mandalorian ship, and thus they left him a way to get off the planet.
Yes.
While not having a tracker anymore.
So that bugged me. Obvious, with the spear being the only thing really left in the explosion, once again just highlighting that's going to come back up. But now Boba Fett was awesome. Once again, another scene where everybody in the scene really showed competence.
Yeah, he didn't lose his edge either.
But I mean, obviously, but Boba Fett outplayed the Mando, but it makes sense. It makes sense because he's a veteran. Yeah, he's been doing this for much longer. He's been through a lot more hell.
Most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy is not the Mandalorian's title. It's Boba Fett.
So it was neat to see. It was cool to see. We had seen that scene in season 1 where he had come up to her and went to go try to save her.
Fennec,
yeah, Fennec.
We see that she's got like implants, droid, like cybernetics.
Yeah, the cybernetics was awesome. I thought that was really cool. So, I mean, there was a lot of really good things, but there was just some little things that just bugged me,
The problem is it was the only way. I mean, they could have put the effort in to say he had his jetpack, he got shot down. That would have been fine, but they went for the, I'm just going to be an idiot and not pick up my jetpack option.
Yeah, the last little annoyance was the fact that they didn't seem to care that Boba Fett's ship was following them, came really close to this cruiser that is, obviously loaded with guns and stuff like that. Just, hey, look, there goes the ship.
Now, if they wanted to add it to make a reputation thing of them being like, sir, we've got a ship. Should we open fire? That's Slave One. No.
Yeah.
We don't want to start that fight because we don't kill him, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but at the time, it just seemed really weird because it just seemed like nobody cared that this ship just flew a skin away from you, and they were just like, all right.
Because even Darth Vader wasn't that rude to Boba Fett. He was like, no disintegrations. Like that's how badass Boba Fett was. Nobody really effed with him.
But no, I loved the he grabbed these two. He went back to town. He's grabbing the others. It's going to be this really big group. Just kick-ass moment is how I feel, we're leading up to, which I know we're going to talk about our predictions here in just a second. So I'm going to pass it over to Q.
All right. So now to get into the meat of it, the main thing about this episode is that this is the reason that I both, A, love this episode, B, actually grew to dislike Rosario Dawson's performance even more, and C, grew to hate the Bo-Katan episode. And it is because these 3 episodes never had to punk the Mandalorian. I love that. These characters are badass, and some of them are so badass, they look more badass than the Mandalorian, but it doesn't feel like he's being punked to do it, A. B, the reason I can't like Rosario Dawson's performance is because Jango Fett feels like he wants, the guy playing it, what's his name, Blood Axe, you had it? The actor?
Tamora Morrison.
Tamora Morrison feels like he wants to be here. You can tell he is taking this serious. Every moment he's on screen, he doesn't say a lot. His speaking lines are very few, but he exudes seriousness, gravitas, and intimidation. He feels like he cares about this character and that he respects it. And it just oozes off the screen that he is taking this seriously. Even Fennec gives off this, I never miss, and manages to give off more presence. And she has the least lines and character growth in the whole episode.
Well, they built up her character in a previous episode. I mean,
Ahsoka Sano was built up over 7 seasons.
Well, but she wasn't.
Even if
that
it's
was
built
different.
up,
That was a
though,
different
the
series,
actress
so.
felt like she was putting more into it. I'm sticking to that. She felt like she was putting more into it. Of all the episodes, the actress for Bo-Katan and the actress for Rosario Dawson didn't really feel like they were putting her all in. I know you like Bo-Katan, and she's a great character. I've done some more research since then. But the actress kind of felt like, I'm just here. And Rosario Dawson also felt like, I'm just here. Tia, he felt like he was like, I'm here to leave an impression. Best action scene I've seen in a while. Like they said, me and Blood Axe picked up on this aggression that implies there's a history. Something's happened since he got out of that Sarlacc pit between him and the Empire, because there's genuine hostility portrayed through his actions that gives the feeling that he's not just a dangerous and violent man. He seems specifically not like the Empire. He definitely gives off that vibe. Like, he's shooting down the ships. He is just like, F it. But when he shows up in his armor, I believe that will be the iconic scene. Not Ahsoka Sano. It's going to be the Boba Fett in armor moment is going to be the iconic scene until something better comes along for the whole season. So, ultimately, no complaints. except for those, and I'm glad you brought him up because I had forgot about him because I was so starstruck by Boba Fett that I did keep bitching about, because every scene he showed without his backpack, I yelled out, "Get your backpack!" Then I saw the Dark Troopers fly down, and I literally just said, that's why they're going to fly off with Grogu, and he can't have his jetpack because he'd fly after them. And I was like, all right, but that was still pretty stupid. And them I can't believe Slave One was allowed to fly like within spitting distance of a Star Cruiser and get away with it. But they did it. The Grogu scene was a surprise. I thought we were done after like the Dark Trooper scene, but no, man, he is going to town. He's double force choking. He is just like wham, wham, force choke. It was pretty well done. So I'm excited for more. This was easily the penultimate episode so far, but it did literally let me know that I'm pretty sure that you even told me this. I think that a different person directed the Bo-Katan episode. You can feel it because the respect to all the characters, including the Mandalorian, feels way more present in these episodes than in that one. I feel like this ain't the same Mandalorian that was in that episode that got knocked into the water pit like a dumbass. Yeah. It feels like it's a whole different character.
Yeah, but Bryce Dallas Howard directed The Heiress, which is the Bo-Katan episode. And I think one of the reasons we probably enjoyed the fighting sequences so much is Robert Rodriguez is the one that directed The Tragedy. And he did the 2 films for Machete, and he did several other. He did Dust from Dusk Till Dawn. So
visceral, very visceral movies, yeah.
Very gritty, yeah, exactly. So I think the fierceness was part of Tamora Morrison, but also I think some of from the direction of Robert Rodriguez in helping get the most out of the character, which we all enjoyed, because while we've seen the Armorer in season 1 basically do something similar, it wasn't nearly as ferocious and graphic as what we saw in this episode.
Yeah. Now we have 2 episodes left. Obviously, we're going to do a final review when those 2 episodes come out. Do we have any predictions for these final episodes coming up before we end this?
I have a prediction, and I have an actual off-the-wall cockamamie theory.
Okay.
I definitely predict that my main prediction is that I know that I think the spear is going to come back up in these 2 episodes.
That's obvious.
I don't think it's going to be that far in the future. No, but my cockamamie theory is I'm wondering if the spear is not going to be being wielded by Moff Gideon, but it's actually going to be Bo-Katan wielding the Darksaber and him going up against her with the spear. Possibly. You may get a surprise that she may end up showing up, getting the Darksaber, and for some reason or other coming into conflict with the Mandalorian. Given that the Mandalorian, you keep hearing them mentioning the Jedi are the enemies of the Mandalorian. I don't know Bo-Katan's opinion toward the Jedi, but she never really got around the child. The child was kept away from her. If you actually paid attention, she may consider the child an enemy, and there could be an actual conflict. It could even be that she needs to do it for a logical reason of, wait, they're trying to make super midichlorian clones from the child? Well, then the best option from a Mandalorian point of view, especially her house, the Katan house, or whatever it's called. Is that it, Katan? House Katan?
House Katan.
Would probably be, well, just kill the kid and we're done. You're free to join me. You don't have to fulfill your promise, and they can't use the kid. So I thought about it, and I said, what if Bo-Katan's the one wielding a Darksaber versus the spear? Also, now the other one is if Grogu goes too dark side, the Jedi that's showing up could show up and actually decide he's got to kill the kid, and he could end up in a conflict with the Jedi if a Jedi appears, because we saw that dark side scene, good catch, Blood Axe, where that was definitely very force choky. That was a lot of force choky, and even I'm getting his name wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. Gith was looking at him going like, no, let him. Moff Gideon was like, no, don't stop him. Let him use the dark side. Like, Moff Gideon was like, when he was doing all the force choke, was like, hold on. I like, no, we need this.
He was doing that because he gets sleepy after he uses it.
I think they could have stunned him before that.
Enjoying it a little too much, too. Yeah. But yeah, it was the whole point of basically wearing him down to where they could put him in shackles.
I think he wanted the dark side, too.
In regards to Bo-Katan, it's not a situation of she might show up. No, she will show up. And for the simple fact that the incentive is she's looking for Moff Gideon. They're both looking for Moff Gideon, so there's a definite tie-in there. And she needs the Darksaber to assume the seat of Mandalore, which hey, you come help me take Moff Gideon down. I get my child, you get your saber. We're all happy. So yeah, it's a team up. He's putting together the Avengers.
Yeah, I was about to
Star
say
Wars to go take on the Empire.
I figured the man.
A more appropriate reference will be Magnificent Seven if you're going to keep with the Western theme, not Avengers.
But yeah, I figure the Mandalorian's going to get Bo-Katan and them. I mean, it would make sense.
4, 5, 6. Oh wow! If you put it at 3 Mandalorians, God, the Marshal, Boba Fett, Fennec. Yeah, that's 7. You can get we might end up with the Magnificent Seven. We might end up with 7 people going in for the rescue.
I think you're going to get more than 7.
Well,
I would like them to sit 7.
You'll have the Hateful Eight.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, give me the Hateful Eight. I don't know. I think they're ready for the 7. I hope they hit 7. If they do, Jon Favreau, you get extra points if you actually end up with 7. If he ends up with 7, that's on the nose, but a good way.
I do believe that we will see the end of Gina Carano on either episode 7 or 8, probably episode 8. And she kind of let the cat out of the bag with a heartfelt goodbye to the fans, saying that she has enjoyed playing Cara Dune. So it would not shock me that actually we will lose her at the end of the season. One of the things I want to get both of your opinions on is who do you think the Jedi is going to show up that actually heard the call from Grogu?
If they were smart, they would probably grab somebody. Huh?
I have 3.
I have the wishful that I know it won't be. I have the one that I could understand them pulling from the expanded universe if they wanted to do that.
Which is?
The one I'd love to see is Quinlan Vos, but it won't be.
He was also in Clone Wars.
Quinlan Vos is in Clone Wars?
Yes.
So he may actually pop up. I love Quinlan Vos.
Yes.
They might actually do Kyle. What's his last name? Do you remember the Kyle from the expanded universe? Was it Kyle Kennard or something?
I don't think they're going to pull that deep. I think Quinlan Vos is probably on the 3rd tier as the least likely. I think everybody that I've heard talk about it thinks it's going to be Luke Skywalker. I don't think they're going to go that far into it, but I wouldn't put it past them because they do owe Mark Hamill some love after what happened with the sequel trilogy. But more than likely, and someone who's been openly campaigning for it, I think it possibly be Mace Windu. Is who I think it is.
Well, that was the reason I actually thought it might be Quinlan Vos because I'm going to lie, I'm banking on the diversity card. Quinlan Vos is either black or Indian due to his brown skin tone.
He's
but
black,
Mace Windu would also meet that quite crowd. You know, they're really loving throwing in as many ethnic people. So I even said they won't send a white Jedi. I just don't think, like I mentioned Kyle Kadar, but like honestly, I believe it'll more than likely be an alien or it'll be Quinlan Vos, but Mace Windu is still alive. That would be cool if they did, especially if they actually got Samuel L. Jackson. Holy crap. That'd be a blindside for your ass for real.
Yeah, I have no clue on this.
And he looks older, so it works. He's aged just right to show up at this time since he's from the effing prequels. He is literally aged appropriately to show up as Mace Windu, but are they willing to put that much money into it? If they did, that'd be amazing. If they actually got the money to get Mace Windu in for one episode, that would be incredible.
Well, they also brought out they're bringing the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I mean, Disney has actually shown they're going to hire A-list talent to do some of these series. So with I'm drawing a blank now of the actor who played Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, Ewan McGregor played him in.
Yes, thank you. So I mean, he wasn't cheap. So bringing Samuel L. Jackson, I think, would be, first of all, fucking awesome. But number 2, it would also answer that fan question is, did Mace survive the way Darth Maul did? You know, we all think that Darth Maul died. Oh, no, actually, he put himself back together and he has bionic legs. Well, did Mace Windu die?
In the expanded universe, I thought they already showed him after the window fall injured. I thought that in the expanded universe, they at least played with that.
Disney basically took all the expanded universe stuff and threw it out the window.
No, they're going back. They don't care. They're definitely willing to go back.
Well, Jon Favreau is pulling a lot of expanded universe content into The Mandalorian. So them bringing that in would further dive back into that well. I would not be surprised. Now, the 4th option, because we're diving back into Rebels with Ahsoka Tano, and they're talking about Sabine Wren. A fourth one, which wouldn't be as fan popular but would be interesting, would be Ezra Bridger.
Oh, the main character, yeah, from Rebels. Yeah, he is
Yeah.
technically alive, so he would be as okay. But I mean, I'm just gonna say this: I didn't know what could top the Boba Fett scene, but if Mace Windu shows up, that will become the most remembered moment in this season.
Well, let's wrap this up. Where we what we got left?
I mean, the main thing is overall feelings about the series as a total.
Well, X.
Well, my final prediction is actually we'll find out who the Jedi will be at the last scene on Chapter 16. I don't think we'll actually get anything other than a courtesy curtain call for whoever it is.
Okay.
So far, it's been a slow burn. The first 3 episodes, the last 3 episodes have been actually significantly better. So I'm starting to enjoy them. And now it was, okay, is it Friday? We get to watch it versus I can't wait for Friday so I can watch it. So I'm starting to really get more into it again. In last season, it was all of them were good. This one, the first 2 were meh. The third one, we had our differences on. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't nearly as good as these 3. And I'm excited for the last 2. And the fact they're shooting seasons 3 and 4 right now means we've got at least 2 more seasons of The Mandalorian yet to come.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on the first 3. I didn't think they were bad, but they didn't catch my catch my watching feels. You know, just these last 3 definitely were much better quality than the first 3 of this season, and do have me wanting to see these last 2 and see what they do with it. I definitely figure they're going to leave us off on a cliffhanger, you know, and not really fulfill everything at the end of this. But, you know, we do have the 2 more to go after this that they're already filming. So at least you know it's not going to be one of those things where if they do leave you on a big cliffhanger, it's getting canceled and you never know what happens.
No, they're already filming season 3.
So you're good to go. If they do leave you on a cliffhanger, you're not feeling super bad. So no, I'm looking forward to the last 2. As far as I don't really have a lot of predictions because I'm not into the lore as you guys, but I've loved these last 3. They were really good.
Yeah, and he's 100% right, too. They're not even going to tell you if the Jedi's willing to train him. Like, we'll probably just get he might not even appear in the same scene as him. We may just see a ship or something in the face. That's how far I think they're going to get into that. But short and quick, the best thing to say about it is that, I won't lie, after the first 3 episodes, I watched these 3 because it's our job. I felt that we had to finish reviewing it. I was not that excited. I was curious about Ahsoka Tano. That was it. Now I actually would watch, even if he said, you know what, we're not reviewing the rest of it, I'd be like, yeah, I'm still watching it. Now I actually want to watch the rest of it. So, and that's a big deal to go from, I'm watching this because I'm supposed to now I'm watching this because I want to be entertained and it's entertaining me. The first 3 episodes didn't hook me at all. They weren't terrible, they just didn't hook me. If I had not finished the series, I'd have been fine. Now I'm like, oh, hell nah, man. I'm watching these last 2 episodes, man. I'm looking forward to it. And unless they bring in another director, I can't see how they're going to drop the ball. They already got a full head of steam. So now the series has now reached into I would tell people you should watch it. For what it's got now, I'd say, now it would come with the caveat, push past the first 3 episodes. If you didn't like them, don't let that stop you. I'll say it like that. Even if you didn't like the first 3 episodes, keep going. They get a lot better. If you did like them, perfect. If you didn't, watch the next 3. You will probably get back into it if you like the first season. Because these are the episodes that remind me of season 1. And honestly, some of these, we'll do this at the end, some of these episodes are better than some of my favorite season 1 episodes. Like, man, that episode 16 was really good. Like, I am hard-pressed. It may be my favorite of the whole series.
And the next 2 episodes, are they playing the next 2 episodes over the next 2 weeks? Or are they having any kind of break or anything?
Nope, December 11th, December 18th, and then they're done for the season.
All right.
So to answer Q's question, Rick Famuyiwa is the writer for episode 7, chapter 15. He's the one that wrote Chapter 2, which was the one with the Jawa stripped the Mandalorian ship, and we had the Mudhorn episode. So he wrote that one.
Okay.
Don't know who's directing it. And then Jon Favreau wrote the episode 16, which we kind of expected him to do that anyway.
John's been doing good. John has not dropped the ball, really. So the Ahsoka Sano episode, the only, like I said, real problem there was just a miscast. Yeah. And he may not have had a choice. Disney may have demanded that. Disney may have said, no, you're going to cast Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. No, I doubt they had as much pull on the cast. All right, guys, look, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks with the final 2 episodes and our review on those. Hope you enjoyed this review. And, of course, hopefully you've already seen the 3 before you watch this, because obviously it's hard. You can't do a review without a lot of spoilers, and we spoiled the hell out of it.
Yeah, I love at the end of it, he's bringing up spoilers. Like, we are way past.
Well, no, it will in this video, it will be in the description and in the title that there are spoilers. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check us out. Our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell there so you get notifications when we post new videos. We also do live shows on Twitch every Sunday, as well as throughout the week. With some gaming footage and stuff like that. So check that out. Dicejunkies.com is where you can find links to everywhere we are online. And as always, enjoy.